Today we are talking about The Honeymoon Won't Last Forever, 5 ugly facts about human relationship behavior. The honeymoon won't last forever. What do you mean the honeymoon won't last forever? We know that going into relationship situations, but we fail to prepare for the fact that the honeymoon won't last forever. And when it doesn't, we are surprised when we know that going in. So, this book has 5 chapters, and every chapter has 3 takeaways. And so the takeaway for the title chapter, The Honeymoon Won't Last Forever, is this: marital relationships often get lost in the demands of daily life. That's no surprise, is it? Yeah, daily life takes over everything, every nook and cranny that it is allowed. It's like weeds, it'll take over everything. Number 2, passionate love will fade if it is not nurtured. And then finally, number 3, which probably should be number 1, is that time, communication, and intimacy are the basic elements needed to keep love alive. I'm going to say that again. Time, communication, and intimacy are the basic elements needed to keep love alive. So, everybody loves an amazing wedding. We even love simple weddings. Here in America in particular, we are a sucker for a good love story. And if a television series doesn't eventually have some sort of wedding scenario in it, it's not going to last. So, we have proven over and over again that we love a good wedding. And we also, by our divorce rate and the rate of horrible, miserable marriages, we've also proven that we don't put as much stock into marriage preparation or skill building, marital skill building, as we put into wedding preparation and wedding execution. And so this book is a handy little guide for married couples, committed couples, also anybody who's interested in being in a married or committed relationship. It's a handy little guide to see how can this thing work? What is the recipe? What is the formula? And we know from research what the formula is. Imagine that. So let's take time. Yes, Matilda, we need time. We need to spend time with our spouse, our partner. We need to spend time nurturing the relationship. We need to spend time together getting to know each other, because even as adults, we are constantly evolving, and we're either evolving up or we're devolving down. And don't you want to spend enough time with your spouse or your mate to make sure that both of you are evolving upward and to catch any devolving downward? So, there's no such thing as I know my spouse, I know my mate, I know my partner, and that's it. Because your partner and even yourself, you're constantly changing one way or the other. The next one is the old communication. We all know that one, don't we? But we also all know situations where we can communicate until our eyeballs pop out, and nobody is the wiser for the communication that has been had. So we need to add responsive and respectful communication to that word, okay? And to the communication process. Because if I am asking you as your spouse for you to do something over and over again, or asking you not over and over again not to do something, then there's no responsiveness there. And me asking you over and over again is simply communicating, but it's not doing anything to increase my level of relationship satisfaction. In fact, it is decreasing my level of relationship satisfaction. So communication needs to be responsive, and it also needs to be respectful. And it also needs to be respectful, especially when the block is hot, when tempers are flared, when anger is its most acute. And of course, it's easy to be loving and respectful when we feel loving and respectful. But the challenge is ensuring that we're not ringing bells, making statements, and doing things that cannot be undone. And we all know that a bell cannot be unrung. So if you're ringing bells, make sure you're ringing bells that don't need to be unrung, because there's no such thing. Now, the last piece of the puzzle is intimacy. That goes back with the spending the time. You have to get to know someone in order to understand what intimacy looks like for them. And so when we talk about intimacy, we're not just talking about physical, although physical is very, very important. Sexual intimacy is a big deal as far as being the glue, part of the glue that keeps the passion and interest in a relationship, in a marriage, up to where the up to a level of satisfaction where there is marital satisfaction. So sexual intimacy is very important, but emotional intimacy is just as important. And for sometimes emotional intimacy is more important for women than it is for men. And notice I said sometimes. And just as sometimes physical intimacy is more important for men than it is for women. Again, sometimes. So when you combine the two together, again, that makes for a really strong glue that can keep the couple bonded, even especially through the hard times. And so spending enough time together, getting to know one another, prioritizing one another over, again, the demands of daily life will help with the emotional intimacy and will help with physical intimacy. And responsive and respectful communication will also help with emotional and physical intimacy as well. And so those are the three elements positively added to a marriage or a committed relationship that will keep the relationship with high satisfaction. So don't skimp on any of those elements.